In a recent post, Paul George decides to reveal Kawhi Leonard's real reaction to Russell Westbrook being signed to the Clippers. Let's talk about it. So I was reading a source about Paul George revealing or telling Kawhi Leonard's reaction to the Westbrook signing, to Russell Westbrook being signed to the Clippers. And, when I was reading it, it sounded, it sounded like that was the right answer to say, rather than it actually being the real genuine answer that it was, that really came from Kawhi Leonard. Now, I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you read it, you can look at clutchsports.com. You can actually read it here where, it says, we both loved it. We both, loved the idea. We both were all in it because we needed a point guard, is what Paul George said, because and he was right. They did lose Reggie, which I don't know why they traded Reggie Jackson and didn't trade Marcus Morris. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're a package deal or something. I don't know. If you feel like you should get rid of Reggie, you should definitely get rid of Marcus Morris then. But I mean, hey, whatever. And the Luke Kennard was a bad trade too, I think. But either way, they traded Reggie. They let go of John Wall, and they needed a point. And, Paul George was saying, it's hard running the point yourself. When they had Paul George running the point guard role, and you got people like Drew Holiday pick you up 94 feet, from the basket, it becomes challenging. And, I have to agree with Paul George on that. And that's the one thing I said, too. I don't think Paul George and Kawhi should be playing point guard, any type of point guard role, because it's just going to take away from their greatness of scoring and their greatness of defense, because, you're asking one or both of them or whoever to handle the ball and bring the ball up, and they're being guarded 94 feet by some players who are that feisty and who are that, adamant about defense. That takes a lot of wear and tear energy out of the player, and they have to score, and they got to play defense on the other end. It's just too much. And that's the reason why I said the same thing. And now I will say this. I don't believe Kawhi Leonard loved the fact of Russell Westbrook. I don't believe Kawhi Leonard did. I believe Kawhi Leonard might have went along with it because of the majority vote in the locker room. And Kawhi Leonard definitely looks like the type, or seems like the type, he might try to be a team player. He definitely wants to conform to his team and, do his best for the team. And, wants to, elevate the team as much as he can with his gameplay, but also, have the team's input on certain things as well. And I have to respect that if Kawhi is that way, because he seems like he could be that way. He doesn't seem like this bad guy they make us seem like in the media sometimes. But my point is, I don't know if Kawhi loved that move the way Paul George said it. I think Kawhi looked at it as more of a desperate move, if you ask me, because Paul George is right. They traded Reggie Jackson. They traded John Wall. They didn't even have a point guard. I mean, hell, they had Paul George doing it, and that kind of wasn't working out too much. Paul must have really said something like, hey, I can't do this. It's a lot. And that's what he says in clutchsports.com. It's a lot, what I'm saying, to be a point guard, a scorer, and a defender, all that, and still be a star player at the same time. It's a lot on one person. And I definitely understand that. And everybody's not built to be a point guard. So, it was more out of a desperate move to me, and Russell Westbrook was the most available point guard out there at the time. I mean, who was more available than Russell Westbrook at that time? Like, nobody, what I'm saying? Nobody really that the Clippers had their eyes on anyway. I mean, there was Mike Conley, Fred VanVleet, but I don't know what happened with those deals. I guess the Clippers really weren't that highly interested in those players because they might have felt like they had to give up too much to get one of those guys at the time. So, I mean, Russell Westbrook was like a perfect fit in regards to after, Utah buying him out. And, he just basically was available for anybody, to pick him up. And, the Clippers jumped on him because they need a point guard. And, apparently apparently, Paul George was tired of doing that. And, they did have Terrence Mann run the point, which I thought was a good situation. But I guess they felt like Terrence Mann wasn't really a traditional point guard in regards to doing certain things that point guards do. Terrence Mann's like a hype man / wing player, and he's trying to play the point at the same time. Now, which I thought he was doing really good because he was bringing the ball up fine, no issues there, not turning it over much, and his high energy and his high motor is exactly what the Clippers need. Now, they do have a high energy, high motor out of Russell Westbrook because he plays that way as well, but I just felt like Terrence Mann energy consistently throughout a game, resonates a lot more on both ends of the floor. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Mann can give you energy on the offense by, getting a putback dunk, or, you could throw an alley to him. He'll catch it and dunk it, or he'll knock down a three. He's a better 3-point shooter than Russell Westbrook is. And then on top of that, on the defensive end, he is a high motor on the defensive end as well. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he's taking a lot from Kawhi Leonard. That's how Kawhi Leonard used to really be like that when he was on the Spurs, and he's still like that now, but he just picks and chooses times to really dominate, which is, smart, especially, with the, load managing everything he does until the playoffs. But regardless, I just thought Terrence Mann was like really, playing exactly how they needed him to play, and getting what they needed out of him and Bones. I felt like he could have been a good, somewhat backup point. But I guess, Bones is a shooting guard, and really technically Terrence Mann is a shooting guard too. But, they haven't played the point guard as well. So, I didn't really see no need for Russell Westbrook. But my whole point in saying all this is I don't really think Kawhi Leonard was 100% on board with it the way Paul George describes it. As I said, I don't think, Kawhi loved it. I think Kawhi knew that the team was desperate and they needed a point guard, and it was going to take too much out of him and Paul George to average 6 assists a game and all this other stuff that Ty Lue was having them do between, last year before, even all the way up to now, because they didn't have a point guard, not a certified point guard. So, they got... To me, they didn't get no better, with Russell Westbrook. To me, they could have just stuck with Terrence Mann, if you ask me. Terrence Mann was running the point just fine. Out of the 14 games they had prior to the All-Star break, they was 10-4 in those games, and Terrence Mann was starting point guard a lot of those games. So, I thought they were gaining some real chemistry with him. I thought the chemistry was getting a lot more, concise and better. And the fact that, Terrence Mann plays defense along with, him, contributing on the offensive end by him shooting, the 3-point range. And, he's not a great 3-point shooter, but he's an adequate 3-point shooter. And like I said, the fact that he's so high energy and high motor, going after rebounds, getting offensive rebounds, battling in the paint, getting steals. He's just everything I feel like the Clippers need on the floor 80% of the time. When the offense is out there, when the starters are out there, I feel like Terrence Mann needs to be out there with the starters. He needs to be in the starting lineup because, like I said, his effect on both ends of the court really is contagious, and sometimes it alerts other players to start playing defense. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you don't have to worry about as many turnovers with Terrence Mann. You're not as worried with Terrence Mann on the floor as you are Russell Westbrook. Westbrook is a worry because you wonder, is he going to have 10 assists this game and like 8 turnovers, or is he going to have 7 assists this game with 2 turnovers? You see what I'm saying? So that makes a difference when you look at one player from afar, the way people view Westbrook now rather than how they viewed him back in his OKC days. He's a liability more than he is an asset. So it's like, to me, I don't know. I just feel like Terrence Mann will be a better fit and everything. But, that's another story for another day. But regardless, they got Russ. Regardless of why he's there, he's a part of the unit. They've won 2 in a row. Going on to their third to the Knicks. Hopefully that be a successful one. It's going to be a tough one, though, definitely, because it was tough with them the last time. It took them overtime to beat them the last time. So it's definitely going to be a tough one there. But either way, I still think the Clippers will win. But as in regards to the whole Russell Westbrook situation, I'm just on the point where if they can continue to keep winning, continue to keep building, and if they can monitor, Russell Westbrook's minutes in the fourth quarter of games and allow Terrence Mann to be in there. You could throw Eric Gordon and Bones in there some, definitely. And get Norman Powell back and get everybody healthy. I think they can I still think they could be a dangerous team. If they can find a way to neutralize Russ and keep him tamed and don't allow his dark cloud, as Skip Bayless says all the time, to rub over this team, and they just continue playing how they play. And don't forget about Terrence Mann and keep putting him in that lineup with them guys, because he just brings a different type of energy. And I think Ty Lue sees that. If he doesn't, he's blind. So I understand they got Russ, but I mean, the goal is still the same, to win a championship. So they have to find a way to work around that and just figure it out.